Welcome to the Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. That's why this podcast exists. We want you to win. And in order to win, you're going to have to bring something to the table. You're going to have to bring a heavy hammer. You're going to have to bring some leverage. You're going to have to want you for more than just your talent. And that's what we're here to teach. It's why we called it The Climb, creating leverage in the music business, C.L.I.M.B. See what we did there? Awesome, right? I know. It's my buddy. It's my buddy and my genius friend, Mr. Brent Baxter, who's also my co-host. Brent's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Annabelle, Joe Nichols, and more. And Brent helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, how you do biz like a pro. And not only that, but he helps connect you to the pros directly. When you're ready to pull that trigger, he's going to get you to the people that can move the needle for you. You can find Brent at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They help you find your sound, and they help you grow your audience so you can become the artist that everybody loves, and so you can get paid. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D. Welcome, brother.
How are you?
Welcome to episode 100.
Happy 100th episode, buddy. I'm so stoked.
That's right.
This is awesome.
So thank everybody for listening and for because we did quit a long time ago if nobody's listening.
That's right.
I'm not going to lie. Johnny and I can meet and not hit record and we can say more.
It's right.
He didn't have to watch his language.
Which is exhausting for me.
And right. And I can just be on the phone in the car while I'm driving somewhere. I don't have to sit at the house and do this stuff. So if you weren't listening, we'd still be talking, but you would, anyway, thank you.
I got to tell you a quick story real quick. Last weekend I was down in Jacksonville, Florida, and Bar Frog, Randy Barber, and I just signed a new artist. They're called Lonely Highway. They're really cool. These 5 kids, man. It's really nostalgic for me because these kids been in a band. I don't think one of them's over the age of 24. Mm-hmm. They've been in a band together for 5 years. They all grew up together, cool. So they're thick as thieves, man. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody gonna get over on they're family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the singer and the guitar player and main songwriter are brothers, and their parents were at the show. And Dad's a preacher, and Mom works with Dad at the church, and they have their flock and all that stuff. And so it was hysterical because I'm having this amazing conversation with them after their show was done. They had a pretty show down there, and Randy, I went down there to see it. And we were just having this great conversation going back and forth, and I started laughing. I'm like, I'm trying so hard not to cuss in front of you guys.
Just keeping it real.
And they just laughed. The Dad hugged me. He's like, Johnny, I like you, man. It's like, I'm trying so hard as I can not to cuss. I know you're a preacher. He got a kick out of that. That's funny. They're the best. All those kids got killer parents, man. And
that's good.
So to bring them on. But anyway, that just made me think of that. But so what are we doing today? This is kind of a cool little episode. We're just have some quick fun here.
Yeah, we thought we'd shake it up for episode 100. So you guys were going to share some little known facts about us that hopefully are interesting and stupid. And then we're going to do kind of an altitude check on our climb and just kind of check in and see where we put kind of a stake, flag on a mountain in the past year and celebrate that a little bit. And then we have an exciting announcement that is definitely relevant for several of you out there that we want you to know about. So we'll be wrapping up with that. So hopefully, maybe a little shorter episode. We're going to try to keep it tight, keep it going, make a good one. And then we're just, going to call it 100 and hopefully start working on the next 100.
That's right. So, hey, before we get started, Brent, you're going to start. Before we get started, if you haven't joined the Climb community on Facebook, please do so. Search for Climb Community on Facebook. You need to be... we have to request to be let in. It's a private group. We will let everybody who requests to come in. And if you are bad little boys and girls, you are essentially requesting to be shown the door, and we will we're happy to do that too.
We will roadhouse you.
That's right. And we'll roadhouse you.
I love making stuff into verbs, man. That's so much fun.
That's great. Yeah. We'll roadhouse you. And but good information going on there. We answer every question that, and sometimes at length to people that ask. And what's really awesome is that the community helps each other. And so we're real proud of that. Everybody's, hey, I had this happen. I tried this. I tried that. We liked one of those comments so much, we turned it into a darn podcast episode with Mr. Jonathan Cochran, who testified about his, following our lead there on the YouTube strategy and how that's benefited him. So, and if you like this stuff, please share it. Tell a friend. If it's helping you, it can help some other people. So spread the love around. We got a reputation. Spread it around. And finally, leave a rating and review. Not finally, two more things, but one, leave a rating and review on iTunes. If you let us know what you think about it. Other people, it's going to make us legitimate when you leave a 5-star rating and review. And not for nothing, we'll read it on the air. We'll make you famous. And subscribe. That's the last thing. Subscribe to it. It goes automatically in your phone. It's magic. Every Tuesday. It's just ding, there it is. And you can do whatever you do, your drive into work or your workout or whenever you listen to us, that's what you can do there. So that's exciting.
There you go. Climb while you drive, climb while you walk your dog.
That's right.
Climb while you work at your cubicle.
There you go.
All right. Don't climb while you write songs because you really can't pay attention to both. But all right, so we're going to start. So I have some, and Johnny and I have not talked about this. I told him the general topic, but I refused to tell him more because I want to tell him now.
I know, I'm dying to hear about this.
So, okay.
Well, first of all, wait, you're going to talk about a climb win?
Well, why don't we do the stupid stuff, and then we'll do our climb wins, and then we'll do our announcement.
Okay, Let's
go from the stupid to the more relevant.
All right.
So my unknown fact is I was a guest on the Maury Povich show in college.
Oh, my God.
That's all right. I was a guest. I was on the stage. I was in segments. I was in a tie. I was in khakis, tie in New York City on the Maury Povich show.
Okay, so right now, hold on. We're going to take a tally. Like we should make a contest out of this. Do you think he was the father or not the father?
Not the father. You are the dad or you are not.
How did this happen?
Okay, so this is before Maury got into like straight paternity land. All right, this is when he was a talk show, So, all right, so I am a teak. So that's my college fraternity, Tau Kappa Epsilon at Arkansas State. And so there's some backstory on this. So Elvis was an honorary member of our chapter. So he's a teak brother of mine, So we're
teak brothers with Elvis?
With Elvis, man. Yeah.
Dude, cool.
So I came like 900 members later. So anyway, our chapter shut down right before I got there. I was one of the refounding fathers of my chapter, along with some of my good buddies, they became my good buddies. Most of them I didn't know before then, but Elvis had been initiated back in the 60s. He's already famous. They went to Graceland. They initiated and made him honorary man of the year. They did the whole full on initiation. He got the handshake and all that stuff. And we'd heard pictures of his signature on our membership scroll, and it was left-handed because he broke his right hand playing touch football with Ricky Nelson or something, and that there were these pictures from that night. There's really cool Elvis fraternity member stuff that no one knew about, really. And so, but it was in a safety deposit box somewhere. Nobody knew where it was because it got lost in the transition of the chapters and stuff. And finally, one of our members, Sean Mangrum, he was a local boy there, so he knew some people at bank. They finally found it. It had been it wasn't in the computer. It had been misfiled. The paper file had been misfiled, but we found the safety deposit box. I was chapter president at the time. And so we paid, we had the box drilled. So we go to the bank, the guy's because no one had the key. I remember opening it up. It was like Indiana Jones, right? You open up, you see all these scrolls in there, these membership scrolls, and open it up. I'm looking at the 300s and I find, Beta Psi chapter, scroll number 318, Elvis Aaron Presley. In left-handed messy signature. And we found the black and white 8x10s of that night of the guys at Graceland, with the initiation and stuff. And we're like, that's so cool. So that was, it was January 7th, I think, when we did that. It came out in the papers, local boys found Elvis trivia, whatever. And comes out right around his birthday, right? Because
that might be the only left-handed signature by Elvis.
Very rare. And this plays into it. So, okay. Anyway, so it got in the papers. It got picked up by the Associated Press, which, by the way, they call me Brent Barter. So there's your fake news right there. Don't trust the mainstream media. You take it from me, Mr. Brent Barger.
That's funny.
So anyway, a couple months later, we get a call like, "Hey, this is Richard Vigilio with the Maury Povich show." And he's calling me because I'm still chapter president. And of course, my first thought is a daytime talk show calls a fraternity. I want nothing to do with this. This cannot be good, right? Somebody did something. I don't know nothing. We didn't do nothing.
No habla inglés. No habla inglés.
Exactly. But it was about, they were doing a show about people that found lost treasures. And they're like, dude, Elvis sells, baby. Tell me your story. So I told him a story. He called some other people, told a story. And so Sean Mangrum and I ended up going up to New York. And they had us as one of the guests on the show. So you had like this guy that found, and he's kind of a treasure hunter, lives down in Boca Raton, Florida, who found like one of the oldest accurate maps of the world, like the one of the oldest ones that had latitude and longitude lines on it at a Salvation Army thrift store.
Wow.
That it was for sale there and no one knew what it was. And he went and was like, oh my gosh, I know what this is. Right. He had this girl also from Arkansas actually that had found, like somebody was doing a canned food drive and somebody was house sitting for these people and they just gave them some cans out of the pantry. Turns out one of them was like a little safe that the family put some like jewels and stuff in as a safe, like in the pantry, in the food pantry. It looks like a Campbell soup can. Right. Somebody gave it to the food pantry.
On purpose?
No, they were house sitting. They didn't know. They
was
just gave
anonymous?
Well, what happened was this girl ended up getting it from like the food pantry or something like that. It was like, what's going on here? And can't get it open. Finally opens it up. And there's like the Rolex in there. And she's like, oh my gosh. Anyway, end up finding the people returned it, but they gave her some money just for a reward. But anyway, so it was various people on there. And so anyway, they flew me and Sean up to New York. We flew into Newark and I'm like, oh my gosh, look, I'm in the big city. I'm total Gomer Pyle. And so we fly, we stay down at Lowe's downtown Manhattan, and the next morning I'm getting my makeup done, and I'm talkative country. Well, I'm trying to be nice to everybody, so I'm trying to have a conversation with the makeup ladies. They're talking to each other. They ignore me the whole time. I'm like, so first time.
Don't talk to the talent.
Demand don't talk to the makeup ladies. They do not care.
They're not supposed to talk to you.
No,
they'll get fired.
They ignored me completely. I'm not talent anyway. So yeah, we did the show. But I told Sean, I was like, dude, if they put either one of us in a soundproof booth, we ain't coming out. They're about to jump us with something. I'm not. If they get a booth where I can't hear what's going on, nuh-uh.
That means it's a girl.
I'm running and back. I'll find my own way back to Arkansas. Thank you very much. I'll hitchhike or something. We got chapters all between here and Arkansas State. I got places to stay. Brothers will look out for brothers. Right. I'm not getting hijacked. I'm not getting ambushed. But anyway, Thankfully it was not an ambush. We did the show, and that was like 1997. And so it came out that summer, and that was one of my first little 15 minutes of fame with people locally. Tell me the story again on Maury Povich. I was like, tell Connie Chung. I said, hey, because they were married, or I guess still are married. But
what's up? What's up, Connie? What's
up? Tell Connie I said, what's up? So anyway, that was my my national TV exposures. I was on the Maury Povich show, and I was not the father because there was no child. But I was the brother of Elvis.
That's a great story.
Anything with Elvis, baby. Okay, so that's my randomness. What's yours?
It has to do with national TV shows too.
Well, there we go. We didn't talk about these ahead of time.
So remember that really? I think to this date it's still the most popular.
Girls Gone Wild.
What do they call it? Most popular reality TV show ever.
Okay.
I think the most successful, maybe.
Were you the naked guy in Survivor season 1?
It's called Blind Date. You ever see that?
I think I have seen that. Yeah, late at night.
I was episode 106.
Oh, awesome! That's great.
Yeah, man. So
we both sound shady. I was on Blind Date. I was on Maury Povich.
Well, I got sold is what happened, and it was really kind of funny because I'll just share this. So I was driving back from Phoenix because I was doing stuff in the electronics industry. I driving back from Phoenix, and it's a 6-hour drive. I get in. It's a Tuesday night. My buddy's like, "Hey, we're all going." There's this taco place in Malibu that had Taco Tuesday or whatever. This bar in Malibu had Taco Tuesday, and it was packed, right? I'm single as all get out, and I'm like, I'll be there. I need a drink, right? And so I'm there. And this honey baby comes up to me out of nowhere, and she's like, "You should be on my TV show." Now,
You're like,
here's
this
what
film out
you
of
have
your
to,
house? What are we
yeah,
talking about here?
yeah, exactly. Well, first of all, of course, my mind's going crazy.
Yeah.
But this is before it ever aired. Okay, so the show had never aired. I'd never seen the show. It didn't even exist at this point.
Wow.
They had
You're
about
100
120 episodes in the can. Because remember, each episode is like a half hour, right?
Yeah.
So and they were every day that they had them on. It wasn't once a week, right?
Okay, yeah.
So they had 120 episodes in the can before the first one ever even aired. So I'm relatively certain that it hadn't even aired before I saw it. I certainly wasn't aware of it. So, and this is, I mean, before I met my what would become my ex-wife, like she was in TV. So I know nothing about TV, right? So I'm just like, I'll be on your TV show. And she goes, well, you won't be on it with me. I'm the producer. And I'm just like, oh, well, that's a bummer. Cause like,
yeah.
She goes, but I mean, it's only honey babies, it's only hot girls. And I'm like, okay, all right. And she's like, yeah, you're going to be on TV. I'm like, what's it called? And she's like, it's called Blind Date. And she goes, look, here's the deal. We're going to pay you to go out. We're going to pay you to go out with a honey baby and have some fun.
You're like, this can't be legal.
And I'm just thinking, this is ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah. So she gives me a card. So I'm a little nervous. So back in the day, I'm just going to be straight up with you. I used to smoke a lot of weed, right? Okay. I don't anymore. But back in the day I did. So I didn't know what the heck was going on, right? So I smoke a little weed. And I go to this interview to see, like, I figure like it's an audition, right?
Yeah.
I don't know the show, right? So they put a camera on you. And I knew like they do camera auditions and screen tests or what. I don't know how it's working, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm on there. And they're asking me all kinds of questions and this and that and the other thing. And I don't know that they're actually filming this to be
on the air.
It's going to be on the air, man. I have no idea. And so you ever see Jim Carrey in Me, Myself, and Irene?
Yeah, I've seen part of that. Yeah.
Okay. You know that way he takes the medication and it makes his mouth real dry. Like the white craft on. Dude. Just don't smoke weed, kids, okay? Because this is like, my mouth is so dry. I got white crap on the corner of my mouth, and I'm just like, I'm trying to answer questions. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so then they're like, okay, well, we'll be in touch with you. I figured that's probably the end of it, right? Because I probably screwed this up 6 ways from Sunday. So then they call me back like the next day, and they're like, hey, listen, Can you go out tomorrow? Can you go on a date tomorrow? And I'm like, well, yeah, but somebody's got to tell me how this thing works, Yeah. And they're like, here's the deal. You're going to sign a contract. We own you for 8 hours. Okay. Mm-hmm. We're going to pay for the date. We decide where you're going to go. We put all that together for you. You don't have to worry about anything. If you go out and you totally love this chick and you guys have a great time, it's great TV, right? If you go out and you totally hate this chick, it's great TV.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's the deal. And I'm like, okay. So I agreed to it. So, so this time I just had a couple cocktails because now I know I'm going to be on TV. I don't know yet. Still not aware that what I did was recorded, right? Like, and going to be.
You're like, oh, okay, now I can totally reinvent myself. Good thing no one to see that.
So I got a couple cocktails. And so then the producers are there describing to me, okay, here's the deal. We're going to go pick up the girl. And I'm thinking like in my head, I'm thinking like supermodel, right? Like it's like the bar set high by this chick that hit me up.
You're like, if that's a producer.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this is a deal. Like this is gonna be awesome.
This is California, baby.
So I brought my guitar with me, and I asked the producer, I'm like, I got my guitar with me in case you guys want me to sing. And they roll their eyes like, whatever, And I'm like, all right, I'll just take this with me because I'm like, I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah,
and
giving you options,
right? And so they go and they're like, okay, here's the deal. Like we're going to pay for everything on the dinner, like everything like that. You're going to get paid just for going on the date. And you can drink as much as you want to drink. But if you have one drink, you can't drive. Right. I've already had a couple.
Yeah.
But I don't tell them that. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not clearly not inebriated or anything, but I've had a couple cocktails and they're like, but then you'll just follow in the cab. So the cab that always is in that car is actually the crew car. That's a crew minivan. And they just slap like these magnetic cab signs on the side.
Yeah.
Like a cab.
Cheaper.
Riding around with a cab with the crew and the camera's already in there. So I go to pick up this girl I go knock on the door to pick her up, and dude, like, not supermodel. I just was like, so right off the bat, I'm like, oh man, she had a really bad haircut. I mean, I sound like evil, but I was expecting like this amazing thing, you know, and it was just like, wow. And her energy kind of creeped me out a little bit right off the bat. So here we go. We're on a date for the next 8 hours. They own me, right? Mm-hmm. So she puts on her thing like, I love rollerblading, and I had done that too, and I was by far not an expert rollerblader. I was mediocre, dude. She couldn't rollerblade, man. So we're like going down Melrose Avenue by all the shops, and I'm like, there's like 10 different times I almost busted my butt because she can't stand up for this stuff, and I'm like, why did you tell him you could do this, you know? And she's like, one of the things they tell you is like, you can't be a are you trying to be an actor or on TV? Because we don't want those. And I'm like, no, I'm in the electronics industry. You know, I'm good. She's trying to be an actress, right?
Yeah.
So the whole first part of the date, have you ever seen the Brady Bunch where like there's this one scene where Greg and Marcia are getting over on the rest of the family, and Marcia's like, well, whatever do you mean, Gregory? And she's like totally like overacting the whole thing. That's this girl. And I'm like, in the first hour, I'm just like, this is torture. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hang with this because she's so fake, right?
Yeah.
And she was just trying to be so cool. So then we go into the Star of India, this Indian restaurant right on Melrose. And I'm not a big fan of Indian food. It just doesn't work for me. But I'm like, oh, this is where we're going. Okay, I'm gonna suck it up. So they asked to take the drink order. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have a tall cocktail and 2 shots. I'm like, I'm just gonna go for it, you know. And she's like, oh, I don't drink. And I was like, oh no, you know.
Yeah.
This is terrible. But I'm being like a smart ass the whole time. Right?
Yeah.
So it's funny. So I'm keeping it really funny. This girl's loving me. She won't stop touching me. And it was so ridiculous. I'm saying this because like it was so apparent to the producers of the show that when they aired it, there was like a ticker up on and every time she would touch me, like bing, 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 bing. And so I think she's like really liking me because I'm so over her. Like it's just a simple energy thing. It had nothing to do with me, but I was just like so disappointed with this whole thing. She can't rollerblade. She's trying to act like she just not like it just kept going wrong. So then the guy's like, well, look, we got a little time between this dinner thing and this next thing we're going to go do. I guess bring out the guitar, whatever. And I'm like, oh, all right. So it just so happened like 2 days before I wrote this song called Carolina. And her name was Caroline, right? So I'm like, awesome. How fortuitous, right?
Yes.
So I start singing that song. Dude, she starts crying. Like she starts.
She's a good actress. She can cry on command.
And these guys are like zooming in on her for that. And then like, oh, play another one, dude. That was awesome. Like then they're loving me right now. I can't put the guitar down. And it's like, what? First you're rolling your eyes. Now you can't stop letting me go. Dude.
Right.
It was the weirdest thing, dude. And we ended up getting velvet roped at this club. I'm with the television crew, right? And we're supposed to walk in and we get velvet roped. Like, no, you can't. And I'm like, who has this setup? This is like totally, like, it's not as organized as you think it is. You know what I mean? It's not it's at all glamorous, dude. It's such a hot mess. And so at the end of the night, I'm supposed to take her back and to her apartment. I take her back to her apartment. And before I go up there, like, okay, before you go say goodnight to her, dude, like, and they want that final interview, right? And I'm pissed at them. Like, I'm like, this is the biggest mess that I have ever been in, right? Like, like she's trying to be an actor. Like everything you told me not. I played by the rules on this one, except for the drinking thing, you know? But that none of that worked out. You can't get me in the club. Like this is happening. Like, you know, come on. And so I'm like, and I honestly, God, I wasn't vibing from her. And I felt bad about saying that, you know, but I was just being honest, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think I'm going to date her again. But this girl at the end of while we're trying to get into that club, she's like, we should really go out. You know, we should get our number. And I'm like, I think they're calling us right now. We should be over by the cameras. So it gets worse. Okay. So I go up there and the only thing I'm thinking is I got to kiss her goodnight because my boys are going to be watching this on TV. So
you got to get a kiss. Yeah.
You know? So I get a kiss, you know, it's awesome. And she does the whole fake thing. She's like, oh, no, I don't think I can do that. I'm like, oh, and then she kissed me, you know, I'm like, okay, here we go. So here's the deal. So at the end of all this, like fast forward to like 3 months later, 4 months later, something like that, this show's a big, huge, massive hit. And they're having this big recruiting party to bring in more talent for the show.
Yeah.
Like our show, because it was like really funny, was put on, like it was always in Sweeps Week, like our show. So we got a lot of spins on. So they invite the former people like to come out to this party and kind of be there so that other people who've seen you can, you know what I mean? You're at this like in this big Hollywood club or whatever. So I'm there and I come walking down with this new chick that I'm dating, and who's freaking sitting behind the desk checking people into this party is the Caroline. And I'm like, what? This nightmare doesn't end. And she's like, oh, hey, Johnny. Yeah, I work for them now. Like after that show, I ended up working for them. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And she goes, guess what my first job was? I'm like, no. She goes, editing our episode. I was like, oh,
like, is that why I came off that way? Yeah. Oh, that's the scariest thing ever. Date somebody and they get to edit your episode.
Oh, dude. Well, I mean, I listened. Like the better show prevailed or whatever because they made me look really good on there, and we had a good time. Like, but it just after a couple hours, she lightened up and stopped acting, and then it was a lot more fun. But the first 2 or 3 hours, dude, I'm talking like 8 hours. We still got 5 hours to go. The first 3 hours, and I'm like, good Lord, this is gonna take forever. You know, like this is embarrassing. I don't know what's gonna happen on TV. Like, what did I get myself into? Like, I was tripping. Anyway, that was it. That was my random fact.
Well, it's good to know that we're both doing high class television.
Hey, nothing but the best.
Nothing but the best from Johnny and Brent. Climbing out of the gutter. That's all, right, and that's episode 106.
Yeah, I can't find it, man. I've tried to find it. I can't find it on YouTube or anything like that. So I don't know if they have an archive or whatever. But I mean, I haven't tried very hard. But I know it's not on YouTube. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
They don't have whole episodes up there. Maybe it's on Hulu or something. But
that's too bad because I would look that up immediately.
Dude,
that changes. If anybody out there in Climb Land can find video evidence of this, please link it up in the Climb community
that's right.
Facebook group because I will sing your praises. So I would really appreciate that. All right, that's awesome. All right, so there we go. We didn't really know about each other.
There you go.
All right, well, let's do a climb and altitude check real quick. We'll just want to share kind of one win we've had over the past year over, the 100 episodes we've been on.
Yeah.
And we'll trade off on those. So mine that I want to share is I'm thankful that I had a song of mine that I wrote with Brandon Kinney. It's a song called Armadillo.
Yes.
Hey, yes, I'm an armadillo. That's country, dang it. You know that's country, right? A song called Armadillo.
That's country as a cotton ball.
Exactly. So between a country girl's toes as she's doing her nails on my dashboard. Anyway, so Brandon and I wrote the song called Armadillo, which actually the demo was sung by Red Marlowe, who it'd be over by now, but he made the top 4 of The Voice that's on right now. So I don't know how this is going to turn out, but he sang our demo.
Oh,
so
cool.
Thank you, Red Marlowe. Congratulations on making the top 4. I hope you win, and I'll call you.
Awesome.
But anyway, so it got cut by a Texas artist named Junior Gordon, and he took a top 10 on the Texas regional radio chart. So that was fun to get spun. And now I don't live in Texas. I live in Tennessee. So I never heard it on the radio, but I know it was on there because I saw the charts. And so that was kind of my climb win. One of my wins for the year was just, getting another song on the radio, kind of getting a different audience and cracking a little different market. And hopefully I'll follow up on that some in 2018 and see if there's some other Texas boys who want to cut my songs and put it on the radio.
Top 10s in 2018 for you, brother. That's what I wish.
So works for me. So that was mine. So thank you, Junior Gordon, for cutting Armadillo, and thank you, Texas Radio, for spinning it enough to put in the top 10. I appreciate it. So what's your climb win? What's your altitude check?
My altitude check is 2017. I teamed up with Randy Barber from Bar Frog, who's a label services company. We're essentially doing the marketing arm of that whole label services company. So a label services company is like a record label, except it's the artist's money, right? But it's all the same service. And we got all indie artists now. We got 5 artists in the top 45.
That's awesome.
On the secondary radio charts, on the Music Row charts. And what that is like, instead of Nashville, it's Bowling Green. Like they're cities. Some of them are really tiny, but some of them are sizable cities. They're just not made. They're not what's called our P1, our primary markets. They're called secondary markets. So there's still lots of people in those cities, and it's good, really good for the artists. And we got, it's all spins. It's the same game as P1. It's just different radio, and they play different stuff than what the primary radio stations play, because that's how they compete, right? That's how they compete for listenership, because you can certainly listen to Nashville radio from Bowling Green, and you can listen to Bowling Green radio from Nashville, but they're playing independent artists and stuff along with the major
Keith Urban's and Tim McGraw's and that stuff. Yeah,
exactly. So we got 5 artists in the top 45, which is a big deal. That means that in a lot of those, we had an incredible amount of influence over the song, sometimes the production, and certainly the marketing with not only with their social media and everything that we're up to and digitally, but also, we were all, it was Barfog that pushed it all on the radio. So the only entities that did more than that, I believe, and we actually had 4 artists on it for a number of weeks together in the top 60 and then the top 50 and then the top 45. The only other entities that have actually done that are big record labels. So that's taking indie artists and turning them into the artists that everybody loves, man. That's what Daredevil's about. And I just couldn't be more thankful for the artists that let us, that trusted us.
Yep.
With not only their babies, but with their money, with their hard-earned money. I mean, that's astounding right there. That you want to talk about trust and faith. Like here you go. Let's make this happen. And Randy Barber and Lexi, who works with me here at Daredevil, it's all 3 of us just really make it rock. So
that's awesome.
Lexi's like my right hand at Daredevil. Like sometimes I don't know what I'm doing until I ask Lexi.
Right. Man, that's awesome. That's a good win. It's a win for you and others.
That's right. And we're helping people, man. I just love that. So we got a big announcement to make for you.
We do. So you want to say it, Charlotte? Let me go ahead and start off. All right. Well, if you like to climb, you will love the C.L.I.M.B conference. Yes, we're putting together our first live event. It's going to be in Salt Lake City, Utah. And it's going to be April 13th and 14th of 2018. So this year, when this drops, April 13th, 14th, Salt Lake City. Our good friend Chelsea Stallings is helping us put it together, and some other people out there. And so it's not just going to be me and Johnny, though. We're having 2 awesome special industry pro guests that are going to be coming out there with us. One is Chris Oglesby, who's a creative, like a song plugger and a creative guy over at BMG Music. So they've since bought. They have a lot of hit writers over there, like Travis Meadows and Hillary Lindsay, and so he's a definite pro as a song plugger and a publisher. Then also BMG bought Broken Bow Records. So you got Jason Aldean in the house and that kind of the label stuff going on there too. So he is in the thick of it on Music Row. And then our other guest is going to be Shelby Kennedy, and he's at TuneCore in Nashville. And TuneCore, Johnny can speak to this more than I can, but basically does a lot of online distribution for music and work with artists and stuff, help you get your stuff out there. And so it's going to be the 4 of us going out there and meeting with writers and doing one-on-one coaching while we're there, but also doing big events, teaching, breaking up into groups, and just basically sharing. If you're a singer, songwriter, indie artist, this is the conference for you. So you're going to want to go out there. And what do you have to add to that, John? I guess a new website and butter it up some more.
The website is climbconference.wordpress.com. Once again, climbconference.wordpress.com. You can go there to see. If you're in that area or if you want to fly out, come on out. It's going to be a great conference. We're going to do some one-on-one stuff that you can break out with, and we're going to have a lot to bring to the table just as far as optimizing your marketing game, optimizing your songwriting, and trying to take as much advantage of every minute that you have to spare to put towards this. And just a little note on Shelby. TuneCore, for those of you who aren't aware of it, is I want to call them like an aggregate distributor. Okay, so what they do is actually distribute your music to iTunes, to Spotify, to Pandora, to these places, to Amazon Music, to Apple Music. They make sure that it gets there. And other companies that do the same kinds of things are DistroKid or CD Baby and stuff. TuneCore is like one of the top players there. And I don't want, the reason I wanted to point that out is because I don't want it to be confused with, we'll call Spotify essentially a distributor, because they are. They sort of distribute it to the consumers. Right. Like TuneCore doesn't distribute to the consumers. TuneCore distributes to the distributors. So that's why we say hey, it's an aggregate. So they have some amazing software that's like they upload stuff, get it all together, press a couple buttons, and they have relationships with the legal departments, which I've had to go through. I've had with Mark Bray. I mean, he had some earlier projects that was kind of a funky situation where somebody else paid for him like 7 years ago, and he's a really young kid, and they didn't have the right contracts with him, and they didn't have his permission to use his likeness or his songs. And when they found out that he was working with Barfrog, they flooded it. All of a sudden it's up everywhere. Right. And he did all that, and we needed that taken down because that wasn't, he didn't do it legally. That's number one. It wasn't okay for him to do that legally. And number two, it's a branding thing. And through, that aggregate distributor, I don't have to go talk to Spotify. I'm just like, hey, check this out. We showed them what happened. They had their legal team look over it, everything that we said. They talked to the other team, and they're like, yeah, we got to take this down. So they took it down. Cool. And that's what companies like TuneCore can do for you.
Yep. And so, our thing at the C.L.I.M.B, we want to help you create leverage in the music business. And part of that is, educating you and connecting you with the pros. That's the thing I'm big on. So Chris will be there. Shelby will be there. Johnny and I will be there live and in person, way more live than you probably are comfortable with.
And we're planning on doing a live C.L.I.M.B episode from there.
Yeah, we're going to do at least one, hopefully maybe 2 episodes. So if you miss it, you'll be able to hear part of it. Of course, it won't be the same as being there. But if you're going to be in Salt Lake City or can make it to Salt Lake City, middle of April 13th, 14th. So get your game on right before tax day. Forget about tax day coming up. We'll make you forget about it. Hopefully help you make some money so the next tax day is even more painful. we want to make April 15th really painful for you.
That's right, because you made so much money.
You made so much money. Taking a big bite out of you. That's our goal.
All right, guys. Well, that's episode 100. Hey, thank you for listening. This is a big deal for us. Brent and I are extremely proud of this, of getting this far, and we wouldn't do it if we weren't just getting the numbers and having regular reactions. I mean, it seems like almost every day people are joining the C.L.I.M.B community. I'm having to go through and minister that, which I'm always love doing. That's exciting. So thank you guys, the listeners. If there's anything that you want us to talk about that we haven't been talking about, questions you have about the industry, questions you have about songwriting, business, publishing, whatever, send it in to info@daredevilproduction.com. Once again, it's info@daredevilproduction.com. Production singular, there is no S, and we'll get to it. This podcast exists because we want you to win, so keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.